Sorry. We'll keep looking. Next.
In your ad here, miss, tennis player, athlete, should speak French, knowledge of firearms, sophisticated young American expatriate with initiative, under 30. That suits me perfectly. Besides, I speak Italian, ride horses, and have a brown belt in judo. Are there any other qualifications?
No. Sounds perfect. Except, unfortunately, I see you're right-handed. Next.
Pardon. Oh, pardon, excuse me, man.
Did you order lunch?
No.
Take it anyway. It's worth it not to wait in that line. Douglas is the name.
Don Douglas. I believe you advertised for me.
For you, Mr. Douglas. Did we really?
The beard's a new bit. If anybody really cares, I'll shave it off. If the pay's high enough.
We have a client, Mr. Douglas. A bit eccentric, quite athletic, mountain climber, that sort of a thing. He's willing to pay several hundred a week to keep the right young man around him as his companion. If your qualifications do, in fact, seem to be in order, Mr. Douglas, you will be flown to the retreat of a Mr. Louis Gannett in the Alps near the Swiss-Italian border. Mr. Gannett himself will complete the interview with you.
Mr. Donald Douglas is here, Mr. Gannett.
Mr. Douglas? Why, it's not Mr. Douglas at all. It's Mr. Washington. Mr. Jack Washington himself. Come in, come in. You look much better without the beard. I always felt they were best suited for people with something to hide. All manner of questions must be tumbling through that fanciful head of yours. We have a mutual acquaintance.
Ned Pine.
We had a mutual acquaintance. He died 2 days ago.
Died?
Uh-huh.
How?
Heart attack, perfectly natural. Of course, I'm sure that anybody with your romantic inclinations expected something more sensational. A bubble of air injected into an artery. Or a drop of deadly nerve poison in his breakfast coffee. It was Ned Pine's sudden passing which prompted me to go to such elaborate lengths to coax you out of hiding with that irresistibly seductive little advertisement of mine. That, and this. A truly remarkable document. It's a complete record, painstakingly compiled by yourself of everything you saw and heard while you were, supposedly, a guest of Mr. Pine. How intensely you must have hated him.
Not hated.
No? You visited them in Florida one Christmas, an occasion somewhat less than memorable for Mr. Pine, who apparently expected somebody, a little more socially acceptable for his daughter, Nikki.
If you mean he put me down every chance he got, yeah.
You still insist that you didn't hate him?
That was something else. I don't know, in a strange sort of way, I guess he inspired me.
Inspired you?
In the Army, I wasn't training to fight the enemy, but to beat Mr. Pine. Pool, tennis, golf. While the other guys were out playing poker, I was off someplace with a tennis racket or a set of golf clubs. For 5 years, I waited to run into that family again. I had the whole scene pictured in my mind. I'd be all tan, loaded with dough, driving a Ferrari. I'd beat him playing tennis, spot him a rack in a pool game, and never give him another shot.
But it didn't happen that way, huh?
No, it didn't.
And when these pretty hopes of yours were demolished, all that was left for you to do was prepare this provocative and hopefully intimidating document. Fortunately, it's easily destroyed. What is not so easily destroyed is your grotesque imagination. Just why have you been so desperately hiding, Mr. Washington? Do you even know? For that matter, how much of what happened on your summer vacation really occurred? I have my own reasons for wishing to know. So let's go over it all once more, for the last time. All right?
From the beginning?
I have plenty of time.
Okay. Paris. I guess that's where you'd like me to start. Last summer, I was on my own, discharged from the Army. I guess I wasn't doing much of anything, just trying to collect my thoughts, dope out what I was going to do. Nicky Pine. Nicky!
Oh, I don't believe it. Jack, what are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
I came in last night.
You married?
Was.
Sorry.
Listen, are you free?
Now?
Next week for a while. Oh, come join us, can you? I'm off to the airport now.
I might, yes. Write me at the Café Charmelot, 14 Rue Marchand.
We'll be in Monte Carlo and then cruising for 2 weeks.
Can't you stay now for a drink or something?
Daddy's waiting for me at the airport and I'm an hour late already.
How's this game?
What game?
Golf, tennis, all of that. Is he in good shape?
Good. Better than ever. And you?
Different! Differenter than ever! Differenter than ever. That's what I told Mickey back in Paris. And it was true. I was different. It wasn't just the car, the golf club, all the things I'd begged and borrowed. It's what I felt inside me. That's what gets across to people. That's what makes a winner.
Dear Jack, it's definite. Monte Carlo on the 11th. 4 years. It's so very long. I'm sure we've both changed. Daddy was surprised that you remembered him. He wonders if you picked up any sports by now. You really should have had a son he could have played with 24 hours a day.
It's all such a simple question of confidence. Once you've got it, they can't take it away from you. Or can they? Nicky?
I hardly recognized you. See? You remember Jack.
Oh,
Good to see you again, Mrs. Pine.
you look better than the last time I saw you.
Thank you.
You were trying to see how many times you could swim our pool. Underwater. You were very blue, as I recall.
I guess I wasn't very good at social sports then, Mrs. Pine. I guess Mr. Pine's on the boat.
How are you, Jack?
Oh, I'm fine. I really am. You look just terrific.
I'm supposed to be forgetting on this trip, you know.
Then don't keep talking about it.
Jack doesn't even know.
Oh, I know about the divorce. You told me in Paris.
You wouldn't happen to have it lit, would you?
No, I don't. Why don't you take these matches? They're Cherini, little candles from Italy. 100 to a box. Little rubber band inside. You know, I'm surprised somebody hasn't imported these to the States. There's 1,000 things over here you could import to the States. I've been making a list.
Well, I suppose we might as well be getting back to the powder.
Didn't Daddy want something?
Lemons. soaked. I think I'll get a rub down. Poochie, will you show Mr. Washington to his room?
Certainly. This way, please.
What's that? A rocket launcher?
Flares, Mr. Washington. Landing flares. Now, could you follow me? Careful.
Heads up. Folia opima.
To the victor, go the spoils. There's liquor in this cabinet, sir. Ice and mixers are in here, too. If there's anything else you need, you press this button.
Fine, thank you.
Will you be staying long, sir?
About 10 days, I guess.
Oh, that's too bad, sir.
Washington,
Yes?
how are your adenoids?
My adenoids?
As I recall, you were having trouble with your adenoids last time I met you. A drab ailment. I trust they're better.
Yes, sir. They're fine. In fact, they're perfect.
Perfect adenoids. How nice. And perhaps you're in possible condition for a little competition?
Yes, sir. Mr. Pine, I assume.
That's quite right.
It's, good to see you again, sir.
I'll expect you on B deck, room 4 in 15 minutes, Mr. Washington.
Yes, sir. Well, sir, good to see you again.
Why?
Why? Well, I guess I've thought a lot about you, and I was always sorry you didn't approve of me. Not that you weren't right at the time.
Well, that implies improvement on your part. Does it carry over into sports as well?
Well, I hope so. I've tried.
Well, what would you like to play now?
Here?
Well, if you're a winner, it usually carries over into one thing or another. On a ship this size, we have some 23 competitive sports to choose from. These include fencing, boxing, dance, judo, karate, wrestling, billiards, pool, shuffleboard, as well as several others of my own invention. Unfortunately, there are more contests available to me than there are competitors. I suggest we start with table tennis. Would you step aside? You'll find your paddle recessed into the table. I'm a bit like Captain Nemo on this ship, Mr. Washington. When you spend almost every moment in a small area, you tend to indulge yourself with every invention of the human mind. Follow the serve.
What was that other fellow's name?
Bill O'Connor, wasn't it?
I'll tell you, Daddy, I don't know how I ever fell in with that bunch of nuts.
See, you were a junior when you came down to Florida that spring, weren't you? You must have graduated the same year.
I haven't graduated yet, Mr. Pine. I missed a couple of exams that spring.
Jerry Martin's boy went back after the Marines. Never did better.
But you are out of the Army, aren't you?
I got out last year. Learned to speak French so well, I decided to stay here. Well, then I got very interested in painting. The young painters in Paris, you know, are having quite a boom.
Are you a good painter?
Do you mean, do I paint things you could recognize?
Not at all. That's precisely what I said. Are you a good painter, a good craftsman? Are you able to make things happen the way you want them to? Not profit from accident?
Pretty good, I think.
Well, now, why don't you do a little sketch of Mrs. Pine? Any style you like. Anything you feel like. Well, do something. No, really, I would be interested to see how you handle it.
Jack?
I don't mind the tablecloth.
How's this?
I'm sorry. I generally use oils.
That fellow who did the famous sketch of the president, I can never think of his name. Did Millie last year in pastel. Caught her just perfectly. Never more than 5 or 6 lines.
At $1,000 a line. Jack's been writing.
I'm working on a novel. Now, don't give me a pen and ask me to write a quick chapter, okay?
I'm rather out of touch with your generation. You don't seem to work as hard for things as we did.
Well,
When I was a young man, we let nothing stand between us and rising out of the gutter. I'm sure that success does not disinterest you entirely.
Well, I guess we're all interested in some form of success. Artistic or financial. Maybe both if you're lucky.
How do you go about getting it?
You look for what I like to call the areas of opportunity. For example, I was telling Nicky earlier, there's still a big area of opportunity in the import-export line.
In the meantime, can you make a living for yourself over here?
Oh, very comfortably. Like I said before, I've been selling more of my writings, to a small review, however, but I also own part of a nightclub. I have the band which plays there. I write music, too, you know. I'm well into a musical comedy. Remember that day in Paris? That was right next to the club. I play drums. Really? Anything you'd like to hear? I didn't mean to be so loud.
Jack was in the band at BU.
How extraordinary. Yeah.
Anything wrong?
Well, maybe 10 o'clock here, but the stock market's just closing in Chicago. Excuse me.
I guess I got carried away down there. I'm sorry.
Please, no apologies. I had a marriage filled with them.
Was it rough?
The divorce was rougher. He accused me of all kinds of things. Well, he was right, of course.
Lawyers never accuse anybody of anything unless they know all the answers. Well, I hardly ever saw him. He was a good young lawyer, which meant he worked all night long. Jack, do I look a lot older?
You look delicious.
Oh, let's get off the boat. I know a little beach about a mile from here. We'll steal the launch.
All right.
Let's see now. Cigarettes, champagne, and blankets. I'll be right back.
Oh, Mr. Washington. I assume the new Mr. Washington does play pool.
Yes, sir.
8 balls, straight, billiards, or perhaps cowboy. You name it, I play it.
Mr. Pine.
Come along, Mr. Washington.
Jack? Jack? Jack?
Oh! 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 I'm sorry about last night, but your father...
Stole you away. It figured.
On a ship this size, there's some 23 competitive sports we can choose from.
Gracias, Ramon.
Excuse me. 24 competitive sports. I think I lost them all last night. Doesn't he ever miss?
He's been hunting all his life. He's very good.
Come on, bird. Well, here it is 12 o'clock, and we're out of pigeons already. What's the next big attraction?
We're going shopping later. Nothing fancy. Just a few provisions. Suppose I wanted a different setting. Something not quite so ordinary.
Madame, that all takes time. You want something to wear on the yacht immediately?
Maybe you have something with the diamonds where the emeralds are and the emeralds where the diamonds are.
No, I'm sorry, mademoiselle. We had something like that, but it was acquired by Her Highness last month.
What do you think, dear? Jack?
Hmm?
It's pretty, isn't it?
If you like emeralds.
I have always liked emeralds. Well, you know, fun to take on a shopping spree. Planning a separate trip?
I've been giving it some thought.
Well, Mr. Washington, while they're shopping, why don't we go to the casino and try our luck?
Our luck?
Numéro 6, noir, impair et passe.
I always bet on the black. Never the numbers. More like man-to-man combat. For the employees.
Pour les employés, merci, monsieur. Faites vos jeux, mesdames et messieurs. Faites vos jeux. Faites vos jeux, mesdames et messieurs. Faites vos jeux. Faites vos jeux sont faits. Rien ne va plus. Numéro 13, noir, impair et passe.
We can't all be winners.
For sure, Pine.
Hello? Yes. Put this on number 2.
Les jeux sont faits, rien ne va plus. Numéro 2, noir, manque et passe.
For the employees.
Oh, merci, monsieur.
This incident in the casino was some sort of a turning point for you, correct?
Sure. Pine played the odds and played them good. But then, wow, somebody else was out there somewhere. Somebody who was playing games with him. Somebody who knows all the answers. Keeping tabs on him. Suddenly his money, the yacht, they were all part of a bigger mystery.
So you played detective.
Right. I wanted to stay on that yacht. I finally had a game of my own to play. I didn't know the rules, but the point was obvious. See, I figured there was all sorts of things going on right underneath my nose. Things that Pine couldn't afford to have investigated carefully. If I could just collect them, organize them, I could put together a document that would give me the upper hand with him for the first time. Beat Pine. That was the name of that game. It always had been.
Saturday, 8:50 p.m., Monte Carlo Harbor. Twin-motored amphibian, red-tail markings, arrives from southeast. 8:55, various supplies and passengers come on board. Appears to be 5 male, 2 female. Welcomed warmly by Pine. We'll investigate tomorrow. 9 p.m., ship weighs anchor. 9:22 precisely. Ship gets underway, heading due south.
Don't fall overboard, Mr. Washington.
I was just getting some air.
In international waters, Mr. Washington, people are free to come and go without inspection. Good night.
my friend. Not anymore. Sunday, August 8th. First real chance to identify crew and passengers. Names may be fictitious. Must get pictures, note habits, make sketches. List identifying features. Nikki thinks I'm writing a mystery novel. She's not far off at that. Photographs essential. Hard not to be obvious, but maybe we are nothing but tourists. All of us, after all. Maybe we are. And maybe we aren't. Yoshira and Pine practice karate. Yoshira's small scar on chin. Yoshira and Pine. Defense against knives. Pine wins. Big surprise.
Hi.
You still working on that novel? I thought we could do a little water skiing.
I've really got to get this done.
Well, can I read it?
When I finish it, I'll send you a copy, okay?
Uh-huh. Oh, Bloody Mary?
Tomato juice. Mr. Armand was sitting there before lunch. Say, maybe you could help me with something. I figure we're here in the Aegean, proceeding north along the coast of Crete.
You make it sound like an official intelligence report.
Well, it's not that. It's just that if we're headed for Istanbul, we should have turned north here, about 5 o'clock this morning.
My, aren't we the little navigators? Your Daddy's probably heading for the island instead.
What island?
Oh, Daddy is now. It's part Turkish, part Greek, and beautiful and unspoiled. And as Daddy says, a safe harbor.
Safe from what?
It's merely a figure of speech.
a safe harbor in life. If you're so fascinated by all this, why don't you ask my father?
Sure, I'd ask her father. Let's say I'd challenge him. When I with him, not before. Mr. Armand. Probable nationality, Syrian. Age, 40 to 50. Weight, 140. Height, 5'6". Languages, English, French, Arabic. No visible scars. Next stop, Ned Pines Island. A safe harbor? Not if I could help it.
Kind of looks like one of those Florida motels.
Yes, it was. I love the culture in this part of the world, Mr. Washington. But a man can't give up everything he's been used to at home. Here I have the pleasures and comforts of both ways of life. Tennis, golf, they're all here, including squash. It's a particularly fast game. Favorite of mine. Shall we before lunch? You ready? Five two.
How was your game?
Close, but no cigar.
Did you ever get the feeling that your every move is being watched, huh?
Yes. By you.
Not by me. By them.
Of course. That's what good servants are for. Oh, thank you.
I'm sorry, sir. That was very clumsy of me.
You clumsy fool, get that out of there. I'm sorry, Jack. I hope that all your pictures weren't on the one roll.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. The back of the camera opened up underwater.
Sorry, sir. The back of the camera opened underwater. I couldn't have knocked it open if I had to.
Well, maybe it wasn't closed tightly.
Maybe it jumped into the water, too.
You might be interested to know that Father felt terrible about you spoiling all your pictures. And in case you need any more film.
Don't worry. I didn't spoil a thing. I was very careful to use a new roll of film for my little test.
Test?
I'm sure there's nothing your father would like better than to have me going around taking all the rest of my pictures on a roll of film that's already been exposed. Here, Nicky. Give nice Jack a useless roll of film. Keep him happy from now on, taking pictures that will never come out. I'm sorry, but he's finally underestimated me. You know, I don't think you or your father quite understand. For once, he and I are going to play a game my way, where I get to choose my weapons in advance. It's not a simple game to explain.
I think it's very simple.
Meaning?
To be perfectly blunt about it, you obviously are terribly disappointed. No one seems exactly dazzled by your social progress in the last 5 years. And well, I suppose just liking you wasn't enough. I was supposed to swoon over you. And Daddy. Daddy was supposed to be shot down in flames in various athletic dogfights. Well, it just didn't happen that way. You never had much of a family, Jack. Somehow, our family has given meaning to your life for the past 5 years. You can't just yank that away suddenly without going to extremes.
I'm having a breakdown. Is that it?
Just what do you think is going on around here?
I don't even care exactly. All I know is, whatever it is, it's vulnerable. I've seen it once in your father's eyes. This island, that boat. He's a man without a country. There's always a reason for that sort of life, and it's never very nice. I'm not crazy. I'm just a very sore loser. He's your father. I'm sorry. I intend to teach him a lesson.
Teach him a lesson? Oh, that's very good. Except for one thing. You're not smart enough. In fact, you're just plain stupid. Why didn't you take this downtown, just like I gave it to you, and have it developed? Then you would have known whether it was bad, wouldn't you? You're not a sore loser, Jack. You're just a loser.
And I was ready to push on to the big showdown. The notebook was a masterpiece. I couldn't have added anything more.
Oh, but first it seems to me you had to get that notebook in a safe place.
Sure. So I went downtown, asked a few questions, got sent to the local black marketeer.
And you were prepared to trust all your efforts to a total stranger? Wasn't that taking a big chance?
Of course it was. I knew that. But that was part of the game, too.
I would have learned to play this long. I never met a musician who could make as much money as Shoebox. This is my favorite instrument. Now, what do you want?
A tape recorder. Battery operated. A small one. And a pistol. I was told you could arrange such things.
Firearms are permitted only to certain people.
Nobody's gonna get hurt. That's just what I'm going to make sure of. About a .32 caliber. Something accurate.
This is 22 caliber money.
Okay.
We must get the recorder from other island. It will be gotten to your room late tonight. Don't worry.
One more thing. I want you to mail this for me from someplace absolutely safe. It's a book and some film. That's all.
There is no place absolutely safe.
Mr. Washington, no need to walk all the way back up the hill. I'll give you a lift. At your service, Mr. Washington.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself, Poochie. Look at that shirt. It's filthy. You got a light?
Hey, Pooch, baby. Charge these for me, will you? Good boy, Pooch, baby. Now, how about a little champagne in my room while I prepare myself for supper? Well, that must be interesting. Fertilizers, you say?
Fertilizers? Nitrates? My company handles them all.
Oh, I'll bet they do, Mr. Rahman. I'll bet they handle all sorts of things. Midnight plane trips, secret messages, a lot of that old stuff in the old fertilizer business, huh? Hello. Say, long way from home, huh?
Señor, no comprendemos lo que usted nos dice.
Absolutamente.
Absolutamente. I'd have that looked into before it gives you more trouble.
Usted es responsable.
Peekaboo.
What was that all about?
Miss Corrali and I were discussing the dangers of exposure. Company coming. Oh, you'll be happy to know that that roll of film with everybody's picture on it wasn't even in the camera.
I'm delighted.
Jack.
Sorry. Busy.
must be careful as the sheep running across those rocky fields, Mr. Washington. If not, perhaps you'll need a full-time shepherd. You ever feel like another game of squash?
In 10 minutes.
Wally? Well?
Three-one. You crazy? 4-1. And while we're at it now, let's find out just how crazy I am. Come on, Mr. Pine. Come on. Come on. Stand over here.
You can thank the Army for that, along with a few other handy civilian skills. Know anybody who needs a demolition man, Mr. Pine?
A little piece of cordite, just this big, in just the right spot, and pow! No yacht. Now, whoever might have a job for a man with those skills? You, Mr. Pine? Or the man on the phone in the casino? The one who knows all the answers? Oh, I've gotten pretty good at a couple of other things, too. Golf, billiards. Don't believe it? I don't blame you. That time I visited you in Florida, you wanted me to play golf. You got me out in front of everybody. Oh, I drove the tee a mile, never touched the ball, and you loved it. Just part of your 4-day project to prove what a jerk I was. Right?
Well, that wasn't quite the point, Mr. Washington.
As I remember, we all went for a little horseback riding. So what did I wind up with? Some high-spirited bronco. Boy, that must have been good for a few laughs. I didn't have a white jacket. Didn't know how to mix a margarita. Never heard of Montego Bay. I drove 11 straight tennis balls into the net. The 12th one is still in orbit. All I could do was hold my breath underwater longer than anybody else. Oh, boy, it was a real eye-opener for Nicky, wasn't it? I mean, it really cooled us down according to plan. And now every time I turn around, I get it all over again. Pow, 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 pow. 5-4. And it's still your favor.
You give up awfully easily, Mr. Washington. Why didn't your father give you some backbone?
I never had a father.
I never had a son. But I know what he would have been like. Nothing like you. You're the last person I'd want for a son. No guts, no drive. You're a loser. Things don't come fast, quick, easy. There's always something else to try. You're always looking for those areas of opportunity. You've got to make them. That's why I put you down. It's so easy. Kept thinking, one day you'll fight back. No chance.
Okay. Okay, I'm fighting back.
Waving that stupid gun around like a lunatic?
Forget the gun. I don't need the gun. I got something better. It seems to me that for a man to make millions of dollars in this day of taxes, he must have to make hundreds of millions. Or just not declare them, or just plain make them in crooked deals. I don't think he could afford a very careful investigation. You know what I've got, Mr. Pine? I've got a complete record of your whole stinking operation. Papers fished out of wastebaskets. Radio messages. Even the frequency you transmit on. The directions that seaplane takes. The dates, the precise times it comes and goes. Pictures of all your guests and crew. Even their fingerprints. Pow! 10-5. My lead. And then there's all that karate practice, Mr. Pine. Just who are you afraid of? There was somebody back in that casino in a whole different league than you. I saw you squirm. And I was jealous.
In case you've got any tricks in mind, I have a few more things up my sleeve.
You know, sometimes for a writer, a businessman, a scientist, sometimes a flight of fantasy leads to a nugget of an idea. You evidently suspect me of some criminal activity, something that won't bear too close examination. It is true that there are a few individuals whom I fear more than I trust. And I must admit that if a man is to amass large sums of money in these times, he has to allow himself a liberal interpretation of the law. And not for 1 second would I pretend to guarantee that every member of my staff is free of criminal or police record. Miss Corrali is an expert in arbitrage, the buying and selling of foreign currencies with hopes of making a profit. Mr. Armand is a broker in ships and other merchandise. I'm sure that both of them have been involved with all elements of our society. However, I must confess that your ambitious collection of evidence does pose a slight problem. Messages we are able to send by radio, enciphered, of course. But objects such as people, merchandise, they have to be transported physically. And there is always the danger that the planes in the night, the scurrying of the launches, the signals flash from shore, will be spotted. They seem like common enough events. Most people would ignore them. It would take an exceptional imagination to interpret them as significant and mysterious. Although you clearly have not discovered just what our business is, your little book could arouse unnecessary curiosity. You have been surprisingly thorough. My compliments. You lead 14-5.
Then I am right.
Are you trembling? I would be too in your position.
Maybe you don't understand. All my information is safe, far from this island. If I'm not heard from in a week, it goes straight to Interpol.
Now, let me ask you one question. What are you after? Money, love, success, the safe conduct passed through life? Perhaps with our influence, you'd like us to bribe people through the decades to come. Buy you success. What about a seat on the stock exchange? How would that be? I'm sure that Wall Street would thrill your ideas of importing little wax matches. Or better yet, your own band. Now, that would be a nice present, wouldn't it? An all-girl band with little gold drumsticks just for you. How about that? Perhaps number one is the one to arrange that. To the victor go the spoils. What are you after?
I just want to win.
You just want to win. You want me to jump over the net and shake your hand. Don't forget it. It's no contest. Amateur against professional. It takes more than a rich imagination to win in this league. And you win nothing from me. Look, do yourself a favor. Forget everything. Look at you. You're nervous, strained, on the verge of passing out. Are you sure of anything? Are we standing here having this preposterous conversation? Do you really think for 1 minute that you have the upper hand? Well, 16-14, I win. This room is soundproof. No microphones. Nothing we have said will ever be heard. The tree that falls in the forest when no one is around makes no sound. Our conversation will be like that. Nothing we have said or done really took place. Just like the contents of your little book. It's all been a fiction of your imagination. I deny everything. I will never alter the simple story we played played squash for 30 minutes and I beat you 16-14. Now give me the gun. Come on. It's a fiction of your imagination. You understand? It is a fiction of your imagination. You understand? Just a fiction of your imagination. A fiction of your imagination. A fiction of your imagination. You understand?
Okay, I'll serve. Very good. 3-1, yes, sir. Well, you look dizzy. You all right? Jack. Jack! Hello, Poochie. Here, give me a hand. You started to laugh. Pass out. Easy. Boy's sick. Very sick.
Let me in!
Careful, Mr. Washington. The paint is wet. That, by all indications, you were suffering from a form of battle fatigue. Did you really just play squash? Nothing else?
I honestly didn't know. I was scared. I didn't even want to think about it. When they keep changing the rules on you, you stop playing the game after a while.
Here. Have a little caviar.
I never developed a taste. It's like anchovies. I just don't like the salt.
It's not like anchovies at all.
Are you sure the sun isn't too bright for you, Jack?
No, sir. It's all right.
Here. You'd better not take any chances. Are you sure it won't be too much of a strain driving all the way back to Paris?
I think I can make it all right. If I keep it in low gear most of the way.
I spoiled your cruise.
Don't apologize so much.
My problem is I'm too much of a romantic. I keep writing myself into those Humphrey Bogart movies. I think I need a vacation from my vacation.
Well, maybe what you ought to do is take one of your ideas. Just one of them and really work on it for a while. Your novel.
Oh, that.
Well, finish it. Finish something. Follow just one thing through to the very end.
Yeah. Like what?
Don't worry. When you find that first something, you'll know it. I've got a surprise for you. Cold champagne. And this time, don't let my father steer you away from me.
Not a chance.
I'd hoped that this affair was closed. I've been informed otherwise. This man is a policeman from Istanbul. He intercepted this. He wants to be convinced himself that it means nothing to you anymore.
I don't know what anything means anymore.
Who do you work for?
Where, in Paris?
Oh. Who do you work for?
A cafe. The Chamelon.
What do you do? Well?
I'm a bartender.
He's just a bartender. Yes. What frequency was the transmitter set for?
14.28.
You're sure?
Yes.
What kind of scar did Mr. Armin have?
He didn't have a scar. He had pierced ears.
Could you do a sketch, please, of the captain, like the one you did here?
Any style I want.
Just do it. I know. Not on the ship. For someone who has never experienced them before, police methods in this part of the world are incomprehensible, I must admit. I do think it wise that everything from now on be forgotten.
Jack? What's happening?
Oh, what a good idea. Going away party for Jack. We're seeing him off tomorrow. Ben should be back by then. Jack has accepted my offer of a little financial help. Getting back to college.
Oh, Daddy, that's marvelous. Isn't it, Jack?
There we are. Pick up your car at noon. You should be well on your way to Paris by nightfall. Won't you?
Jack, what's the matter?
Oh, my dear, he's just exhausted. I suggest that you get him to bed. There's nothing more that I can do for him.
Jack, what is it?
Oh, nothing. Just my imagination.
We have a mutual acquaintance.
Ned Pine.
We had a mutual acquaintance. He died 2 days ago. I always wondered about Ned Pine's soft spots. That check, didn't it seem like, well, a bribe?
I thought about that. Oh, I was beginning to think of a lot of new possibilities. You know how you pinch yourself to make sure you're awake? Well, that dart was the biggest pinch of them all. Right then, the whole thing stopped being a game. That was no Turkish cop. Nor any cop, period. I tell you, the next day...
They weren't just waving goodbye for a while when I left that ship. They were waving goodbye for good. Monte Carlo. At least I'd made it that far. There were police here. But what could I really tell them? What did I really know for sure? I had no plan. Everything was happening so fast. I was somehow being rushed. All I had was a broken-down car and a slightly broken-down mind. And a desperate urge to hide. Anywhere.
No place absolutely safe.
While we're at it, let's find out just how crazy I am.
It's just a fiction of your imagination. You understand? The fiction of your imagination.
You're just a loser. 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 Loser.
started running then. I haven't stopped since. I feel like I've been running all my life.
One has to draw the line someplace, doesn't one? And that is everything. The entire story? You've omitted nothing?
Well, one thing.
Oh?
A postscript, I guess you'd call it. That's why I had to answer that ridiculous ad, even though it smelled like an obvious trap. But like you said, I couldn't go on running all my life. If they were out to get me, Ned Pine and his associates, I had to warn them before they did anything drastic.
Warn them? Against what?
There were 35 pages in that notebook you destroyed. Before turning it over to the Greek, as a precaution, I photographed them all. It just fit on one roll of film. That's my ace in the hole, that copy. There's someone, a friend, who knows where it is. Well, if I don't check with him every week...
Fools! Dolt! Do you imagine for one moment that any of that astonishes me? Every action of yours has been carefully anticipated. Nothing you have done surprises me.
I don't understand.
You bore me like you bored Ned Pine. Would I have taken this circuitous approach with you, did I not already know perfectly well where that film was? Here. Your secret hideout in Paris. Your room itself. 30 minutes after you packed to come here. And by the way, the person I engaged found this little camera, which you had rigged to snap a picture of any unwelcome intruder. And this, by the way, is the picture it took. Maud works freelance. Ask no questions. Maud is well trained. When an object does not quite function normally, her suspicions are aroused. While you were upstairs, a preliminary investigation revealed that one of these was lighter than its companion. It also fires dum-dum. Mr. Washington, you are not competing for second prize in a pool tournament. You forget that I happen to be a man who can, if he wishes, arrange the outcome of a game of roulette. Power which terrified even Ned Pine. Shall I? $22?
12 gauge.
Gas, perhaps, huh?
Magnesium. A flare.
If you're looking in that false seal for this, it was removed while you were taking a shower. And there were all the other items. You certainly were prepared for a hectic climax, weren't you? Such a needless expenditure of time and energy. Like your life itself, Mr. Washington. Wasted enterprise. I assure you, none of this, nothing you have brought with you, has posed the slightest threat to me. Imagination, Mr. Washington, used constructively, can accomplish anything, even the impossible. But it requires the application of genius, quality you unhappily lack. I'm sorry, Mr. Washington. I made my decision concerning you on Ned Pine's yacht. The possibility that this, or something like it might exist only came to mind after your unexpected escape. Consider the past 3 weeks merely a stay of execution.
Please.
Please what, Mr. Washington? So many small dreams.
You're making a mistake. There's another copy. Honest.
The game is over. Les jeux sont faits. If I remember your words, you said you were forever trying to write yourself into a Humphrey Bogart movie. I am certain we can finally break you of that habit. Ah.
By the way, Mr. Washington, how are your adenoids?
Faites vos jeux, mesdames et messieurs. Faites vos jeux. Les jeux sont faits. Rien ne va plus.
All I could do was hold my breath underwater longer than anybody else.
Well, Jack, we
Wagstaff will be right back. Then Ian Turpie's got another fabulous showcase up for bids on the new Price is Right. And the really big movies keep coming Sunday night on 7, when Brooke Shields and Christopher Atkins discover love, marooned in an island paradise. Don't miss the sensational first release of Blue Lagoon, Sunday, 8:30 here on 7.